From defense to offense, deep dive into real-time pricing strategies. So most of you are here for the B2B. Now we're using the RTPE system, the real-time pricing engine, in a B2C capacity. But I'll explain to you how we're using it. And at the end, I'll sort of bridge the gap and like, all right, great, this works fine for you, for your customers, but how does it work for me when I'm selling products? All right? I did leave out some proprietary stuff, so I'll try to talk to that instead of like putting it into images. And one other thing, I'm going to focus only on the RTPE system, not the intelligence systems that are tied to it. So we use PRO's guidance, or as they call it ECG, or whatever. Is that it? ECG? I just call it guidance. There's also CPQ, which maybe a lot of you are also using. They both interface to this system, all right, to spit out the prices. But I'm not going to talk about that, so I could focus the time on the real-time pricing engine, all right? And with that, all right, let me talk to you about my company first, just so you get a sense for how we're, why we're using the system, how we're using the system, just to give you the appropriate background. So SP+, we're a publicly traded operator of almost 4,000 parking garages across the country. So these are in urban centers, airports, stadiums, hospitals, universities, even some small mom and pop lots if they want us to operate them on their behalf. Several years ago, the company decided to make the shift from being to be a technology provider. Before, we were just an operator of garages or parking lots. Oh, you need some staff, you need to collect money, fine. We decided we need to do more than that. So we have an online presence, parking.com, that is our website, and Sphere, which is hardware, gates and payment machines and stuff like that that you might find on premises. This is quite new for a parking operator to do. The other thing to know about the parking industry is it is, I don't know if fragmented is the right word, it is a chaotic mess. All right, those machines that you see at the garages, you might see the same brand on one garage to the next garage, but this machine is on version 2, this machine's on version 13. The list goes on and on. It is just all over the place. It's worse than Wild West. We need it to be better than Wild West. So let's talk about pricing now. Another issue we have is when you're factoring in competitor pricing, demand drivers, various consumer segments, varying capacities of garages, all of them end up with very unique pricing structures, even if two garages are right next door to each other. So for example, my company operates a couple blocks away from here. We've got two garages kitty corner from each other. One has 1,200 spaces, the other one has 200 spaces. Well, I'm going to need different pricing strategies to fill them. Oh, one's also attached to a mall, the other is attached to an office building. Again, you have different types of consumer segments going in there. So, I'm going to give you some examples of the different types of pricing structures we might have. One garage might be fairly simple. $5 for the first hour, $10 daily maximum. But your rates reset at 5 a.m. So what does this mean? I enter at 4:30, all right? At 5 a.m. rates reset, and then I leave at 5:30 a.m. I park for 1 hour, but I'm not paying $5. I'm paying $5 for the first half hour, rates reset, $5 for the next half hour. There's a reason why I'm getting into this complexity. Here's another garage. This is more typical of New York, where you've got a whole variety of prices. $5 for the first hour, $10 up to 3 hours, $25 for 24 hours, and then you've got a whole bunch of specials. And these are on a 24-hour rolling clock, so rates don't start over again. It's based on the time you entered, all right? And then let's say you park for 25 hours. We don't have a 25-hour price. Well, it's $25 plus 5. All right? But let's say you do a special. You park for 10 hours during these hours. You're not going to pay $20. This is going to override that. But this garage, you also have another issue. If you've got an oversized vehicle, because the garages in New York are tight on space, it's an extra $15 on top of whatever else the other price is. We have other garages that have some sort of incremental structure. Free for the first hour, then every 15 minutes it's $2 until you hit $25. And it all starts over again at midnight. This one's from the Denver airport. $6 for each hour you're parked, $18 per day only on days 1, 2, and 3, and then the price goes down to $16. Oh, we got a special event. Taylor's coming. All these prices that I just mentioned, they're out the door. This has to override everything that I just talked about. So, it gets even better. Now, at each garage, those pricing structures I gave you, those are what we call the drive-up. What you see on the sign when you just pull in, pull a ticket, and then you pay when you leave. But we might have differing prices for online reservations. So you go to parking.com, you want to book ahead, you want to see what the price is. We typically discount it online. So we've got discounted rates here. And you'll notice the structures aren't even the same. We have 1, 3, 12, 24-hour rates here. It's 2, 6, 10, 24, because the segments, the consumer segments, are different that purchase this versus these segments. You might have private coupons. So let's say an office building. You've got the cleaners overnight. Maybe they get a special rate, but you don't want it out there in the public. So you have special rates that are just exclusive for them that will override all these other rates. Validations. We're all familiar with validations. Doctor's office, you go to the movies, whatever, and then they stamp your ticket, or maybe they put a barcode on it, or a variety of other things. That overrides all these. And then you've got Taylor Swift, which overrides everything else. This is just one garage. Now you've got almost 4,000 of them like this, and no two are the same. So, prior to my group coming in, the company knew they had an issue, so they purposely said, we need a revenue management department. So that's where we came in. Before then, management of these prices was basically done on spreadsheets. You had managers at each garage coming up with their prices. I'm not going to get into whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing, because that's off topic. You could ask me about it later. But then what happened? Prices were not consistent across systems. So we sell on parking.com. We also sell on Spot Here and Parkwoods. Don't use them, use parking.com. Well, sometimes the manager will update rates in one and then forget to update rates in the others, because you have to log into each one. Okay, we since took care of that, by the way. Some systems would take forever to update. So I put in the rate, it updates, or they change the rates at the garage, they try to change them on our systems, taking forever. And then obviously, with all that kind of a mess and things on paper, there's no way you could possibly revenue manage rates. We need a solution, I'm going to read it directly. We need a solution that can systematically manage prices, handle variation, and power a large volume of price queries for numerous customer touch points. So a few examples. This is a screenshot from parking.com. I did a simple query, 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the city of Chicago. I think it was for today, actually. I did it last week when I did the screenshot. I need a system that could return the right price for each garage fast. RTPE is powering this. All right, the ones that don't have a price are either sold out or they just do monthly parking or contract parking. We have an app, so it also has to power the apps. We have what we call drive-up systems. So we've got our own gate systems. Some garages or lots have text to pay, where you text a number, then it sends you a link, and then you could pay. But it's going to say, here's the price. Well, what's sending that price? It's coming from RTPE. We also have a digital ticket system. So it's virtual, it's based on your license plate. Again, where's the price coming from? RTPE. So RTPE was the solution to solve for all of these things. Some of the technical advantages of the system. It's been on for 3 years and 3 months, hasn't gone down once. I shouldn't say that it did go down one time, but that's because we fed it bad data by accident. It was our fault. It determines the appropriate price in under 700 milliseconds. The system's fast, even when it's trying to you're getting multiple rates or a single rate for your one transaction. It's very fast. It can integrate with other systems such as guidance or CPQ. And the best thing for me is it's a calculation system. It is not a table. It is not like a table lookup type system. It can do that, but I don't want that. Imagine if I had to say 1 hour is $5, and I had to say, okay, if you enter at midnight, leave at 1 a.m., $5. Enter at 1 a.m., leave at 2 a.m., $5. I don't want that. I just want to tell the system if they park for 1 hour, it's $5, regardless of the day, unless I've got restrictions. Price management advantages for us. Prices update within, in reality, it's seconds. So we put in the prices, we built our own price management system where you store the rates, and then it updates RTPE fast. The only reason it takes minutes is because our systems are delayed in sending it out. But as soon as we get it into the system, it's firing right away the new prices to customers. The other nice thing that I like about it is it's allowing my revenue management team to be able to modify pricing methods. So if we come up with new products, new edge cases, whatever, we can go in there and edit the formulas or the algorithms that are powering the calculations. And they've got a simulator so you could test it out. You like it, save it, bam. It's out there, real time. So, how does it work? This is where I left out a bunch of detail for the proprietary stuff, but we are using guidance, so guidance is in this box. Again, I'm focused on RTPE. So SP Plus, our pricing management system, where you've got tens of thousands of prices. Actually, no, we're probably into the hundreds of thousands. Yeah, I should have looked that up before I came here. I apologize. I didn't think about that. We've got all the prices in there. It sends the prices along with the fences. So I don't know if a lot of you use the term fences. I come from the airline industry, so we like to use that term. But basically, those are the rules. $5 for 1 hour. 1 hour is that fence. Or only Monday through Friday. That's a fence. Only between the months of January 15th through April 15th. That's a fence. All right? We send all that and store it into tables called lookups. It also has the pricing methods, which is the algorithms that do all the calculations. It has the ability to view and edit the pricing methods. And then it's also got dashboards. So you could actually see the performance of your sales and everything else. I'm not going to focus on that, but it does have that capability. And then control works with RTPE. All right, to me, they're both the same system, but to the pros people, they think control and RTPE are two different things. But I think of them as the same thing. But this is where the processing actually happens. So consumer comes to one of our touch points or one of our channels. Let's say they come to the website, they make a query. And they're like, all right, I want to park from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And let's say they didn't specify an address, they specified the whole city like I did with the Chicago example. And by the way, that Chicago example I gave you was zoomed in because I only have so much space. It was a lot bigger. All right? The customer's query is sent to RTPE. So the dates of entry, dates of exit, the times of entry, times of exit, and some sort of geographic reference, such as, is it a specific garage? Is it a specific area? Whatnot. RTPE, in the 700 milliseconds, evaluates their request, filters through all the prices, it does all the different calculations. So like the example I gave you where it was like, you know, $10 for an hour, $20 for 10 hours, or $25 for 24 hours. Oh, but they're parking for a week plus 5 hours. It will make all the evaluations, go through all the different permutations, figure out which is the right price, make sure Taylor's not playing that night, and then returns the right price in less than 700 milliseconds. And it's doing that for all of our touch points. And again, I update something here. I want to change that $5 price to $6. Within minutes, usually seconds, it's already here. Okay? Some of the capabilities of RTPE. So as I said earlier, it could function as a simple product to price lookup tool. So if you just got a simple price set of products and prices, you want to look that up, that's fine, but you're not really engaging the full power of the system, and quite frankly, you don't really need a tool like this if you're just going to do something as simple as a simple lookup. It can accommodate complex functions, calculations, all right? So let's talk about some basics. Set prices by date, time, day of week. You could make decision-based logic, like the Taylor example. You could set boundaries. Do not exceed X price. Maybe, I don't know, maybe use a tool like, trying to think of one, Unified Insights. They're a company out of Chicago that does, they scrape products and prices for their clients' competitors, and then they feed them. You could take that feed, upload it, if you set it up as one of those lookup tables, and then say, look, I never want to exceed their price. So whatever the algorithm comes up with, that's the final check. Oh, it's $25 for whatever your widget is. Let's say this phone. I know it's cheap, just go with me on that. But my competitor is selling that same phone for $23. All right, fine. Then the system will be like, well, if that's what you want, that's what I'll do. Let's see. You could set criteria unique to your industry. You increase my electricity rates by X, whatever X is, percent, some complex formula, whatever, when Y reactor shuts down. Change price based on materials cost or anticipated materials cost. So let's say you are a manufacturer of, I don't know, siding, all right? And you've got 3 products, vinyl siding, aluminum siding, and fiber cement siding. And the slurry for your fiber cement prices are going to go up in, let's say, November. All right, fine. If you design your lookup tables to handle it, then what you could do is say, my future product costs will go up starting on this date. So therefore, so I'm kind of getting into a B2B example now. So therefore, any orders that I get where I have to deliver manufactured product on that date or later, here's my floor, because I know my price will go up. And this could help you actually calculate the price based on all the materials costs. Let's see. Oh, you could create calculations, as I said before. So one example we do is like, I only have 24-hour price. That's the longest price I typically create. I could create like a 3-day special or whatever else if I want. But we don't do that because it's a pain in the button. Who wants to do that? But the system can calculate. So if somebody wants to park for 3 days and 4 hours, we already put in an algorithm into RTPE to say if that happens, then how do you take the various components, put them together, and come out with the right price? Again, it's fast. It does it very fast. I should say our algorithm is 5,000 lines of code. We've got hundreds of thousands of prices in there. So Like I said, it's very fast. And it accepts inputs from machine learning or AI systems, as I said earlier, such as from guidance or CPQ. What does the interface look like? So I blurred it out because this is our real interface. And there's several of them, but I just wanted to give you an example of this one. So this one is, this is part of the algorithm. I cut out the scroll bar because I only had so much space. Otherwise, the page is actually much bigger. But you could actually go in. There's different, so what's purple here are the different variables for my different lookup tables. These are the elements that feed into these. So if I need to adjust these, I come up with a new product, or somebody in sales says, hey, I have an idea. Like when XYZ happens, I'd like to increase it by 2%. All right, well, I didn't have that before. So you have a choice. You could actually ask one of the pros consultants to go and do it for yourself. But if you have a pricing department who actually knows how to use this tool, fortunately I have that, they could just go in and do it themselves. And then you could simulate it, test it, and as soon as you hit save, it's out there. It also has capabilities to date stuff too, so if you don't want it until next month, then. But anyway, so that's kind of like what the interface looks like. Let's see. Oh, they asked me to give you some tips for go-to-market and managing the RTPE system. So, implementation. Make sure your pricing needs are well documented before the pros team begins. Like, they could walk through it with you and you could do the discovery. It's just going to cost a lot more. Oh, sorry, guys. That's consulting dollars that just went away. But it's going to drag it out because you're going to have to think for yourself like, okay, well, how does pricing work? What are the formulas that we do? Oh, what happens when I have to do sales bonuses and I need to factor that into the price and et cetera, et cetera. Just make sure you've thought about that up front and documented it. Don't go iterative. Go for the kitchen sink. I did that, and I'm very thankful I did that. There were some people who were like, look, we first want to, at my company, so they were like, well, we're going to start with text to pay. Why are you also putting code in there for reservations, for drive up, for this, for that, and blah, 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 and oversize, and on and on and on? I'm like, because each time you say we want to move on to the next product or product feature, then I'm going to have to crack this thing open and then figure out how to code it in there. And before you know it, as you're adding stuff in, you might get a rat's nest of code instead of some elegantly written code. Fortunately, before this, I'd written 2 other pricing systems in my previous jobs at United and Orbitz, so I kind of knew what I was going into. So that's my tip for you. Like, don't be iterative when it comes to pricing. Like, just ask for everything. Let the pros folks figure out how to do it, but do it so that it all works seamlessly. All right? Let's see. Oh yeah, have a team ready to work for pros and budget time for that team once you do your project kickoff. All right. So at minimum, you're going to need IT, your BI team. That's your data team, if you don't know what BI team is, and also your pricing team. This is the one everybody doesn't know about. And actually, I was just telling the pros people like earlier today, reflecting on it, I was like, look, the salesperson did not tell me I needed these guys. Why? It's a pricing system. And there's a reason for it that I'm not going to get into now, otherwise I'm going to drag this out and go over time. Also, make sure you fully understand the implementation process and how it integrates into your systems. All right, if you have architects or whatnot, at least make sure they've got a plan and think through like, okay, where does this fit in within my overall architecture? Let's see, and then for ongoing management, consider having a systems and support function within your team. because I came from United, I knew I was going to need that because United has a large systems and support team along with the analysts. I structured my team the same way, and maybe I was just biased and I just went with what I knew. So the head of my analyst team is sitting right there, Dan. And the head of my systems support team is expecting. So I told her, like, you stay home. Baby comes first. She's doing like 2 months. And then my 2 cents. Don't place a function elsewhere, such as with your product team, your IT team, marketing, or finance. Nothing against those teams, but you need people who actually understand the math that goes behind the output of the prices. And you might be lucky, maybe you've got those people on your teams, but if you don't, you should seriously consider having a team of professional pricers managing this system. Also, take advantage of the pros classes. Learn how to create and modify pricing methods because you're going to come up with new product ideas, new methods, new functionality. I mean, a real-world example for me. How do I price electric vehicle charging? Right now it's free, but it's actually costing the garage owners a lot of money because that electricity isn't free and the hardware to install them isn't free. So they're, as of 2 weeks ago, they came to me and started asking questions. You got to help us figure that out. And then once I figure it out, then I got to come up with a pricing method to do that. Oh, and by the way, all I've talked about here are what we call transient rates for parking. Like I just came in, did a one-time purchase. I didn't even cover monthly contracts. So pay $300, you could park all month. That's also on RTPE, but I focus solely on this just to simplify things. All right, wasn't this presentation supposed to be focused on B2B? Yes. But the functionality is essentially the same. It doesn't matter if it's B2B or B2C. It's your endpoint that's different. So maybe the output is going to your salespeople. Maybe it's going to a catalog that only your customers can view. Or maybe some other internal channel, whatever. But that's the only thing that really changes, okay? Can RTPE be coded to differentiate rates based on quantity? Preferred wholesaler? Yeah, as long as you put in those, provide those inputs. So maybe your company has, I don't know, you buy 10 or more of X widget or 10,000 or more of whatever. It's an automatic 10% discount. Fine, you could code that into the algorithms, or you can make it a variable. So maybe you're like, oh, I don't want to make it 10,000 anymore. So instead of changing it, you change it in your lookup. So what you do is you send an update. Just like I say, okay, the 1 hour price is 5, now the 1 hour price is 6. You could make it as easy as that, if that's how you want to do it. Can RTPE price special deals for temporary promotions? Yes, we already do that. It can analyze dates or whatever other parameters you set it up for. Can RTPE integrate unique price structures based on a salesperson? Yeah, if that's what you want to do. But then you have to provide lookups with all your salespeople so that the algorithms know what to do with it. Otherwise, it'll be like, who's John Smith? So it's an interesting system. It's basically a blank sheet of paper when it starts. And you could pretty much create any algorithm you want. And it's, like I said, it's fast. We've got hundreds of thousands of prices in there, almost 4,000 locations, and 700 milliseconds. And it's just pumping out prices. So it's really, really fast. And that's it. Questions?